Mercedes did not just put Kimi Antonelli on pole at Silverstone. They triggered the question every rival team hates asking. How did that car suddenly look so alive? At Silverstone, one of the fastest and most punishing circuits in Formula One, weak cars do not hide. Nervous rear ends get exposed. Tires get punished. Young drivers get tested. And yet Antonelli, under massive pressure, delivered the kind of lap that makes the entire paddock stop and look twice. But here is where it gets dangerous. There is no confirmed proof in the source material of an illegal Mercedes trick. No official evidence of a banned device. No verified ruling. No confirmed accusation that Mercedes broke the rules. And that makes the story even more intense. Because in Formula One, the most explosive suspicion is not always, did they cheat? Sometimes, it is worse. What if they found something legal that nobody else understands yet? If Antonelli's pole was just one perfect lap, the threat ends at Silverstone. But if Mercedes discovered a repeatable way to give the car more stability, more tire confidence, and more trust through high-speed corners, then this was not just a pole position. This was a warning shot. A rookie on pole. A Mercedes suddenly dangerous. A paddock forced to ask whether it just witnessed a lucky Saturday, or the first sign of a comeback rivals are not ready for. Subscribe to the channel. Silverstone is where excuses go to die. That is why this story became so loud so quickly. Because there are circuits where a team can hide behind a perfect setup, a perfect toe, or one lucky tire window. There are tracks where a car can look faster than it really is because the layout protects its weaknesses. A long straight can make an average car look powerful. A slow corner can make a nervous car look manageable. A strange weather shift can turn one session into a trap. But Silverstone does not protect anyone. Silverstone exposes everything. The fast corners are too long. The loads are too heavy. The wind can change the feeling of the car from one lap to the next. And the driver has to commit before he knows, completely, whether the car will stay with him. That is what made Antonelli's pole so difficult for rival teams to ignore. It was not just the position. It was the place. A rookie putting a Mercedes on pole at Silverstone creates a different kind of reaction than a surprise result at a slower circuit. At Silverstone, the car has to breathe with the driver. It has to turn in cleanly, hold its balance, protect the tires, and give confidence when the speed is high enough to punish even the smallest doubt. And this is where the suspicion starts to grow. Because Formula One drivers notice things the rest of the world misses. They notice if a car looks unusually calm through a corner where others are fighting the steering. They notice if a rival can commit earlier than expected. They notice if the rear of the car stays planted when it should be nervous. They notice if the tires seem to switch on at exactly the right moment. The public sees a pole lap. The paddock sees clues. And when those clues do not have an obvious explanation, the questions begin. Did Mercedes simply nail the setup? Did Antonelli produce a once-in-a-generation lap? Did the tires land perfectly in the right temperature window? Or did Mercedes find something deeper, something clever, something sitting right on the edge of what the rest of the grid understands? That is the dangerous part. Not because there is confirmed proof of an illegal trick. There is no confirmed proof in the source material of a banned device, a rule breach, or an official finding against Mercedes. But Formula One does not need confirmed proof for pressure to begin. It only needs doubt. And doubt is powerful because it changes the atmosphere before it changes the results. Inside another team's garage, one strange lap is not ignored. Engineers do not just shrug. Drivers do not just move on. They start replaying the details. Where was the Mercedes strongest? Did it gain time in the fast corners? Did it look stable under load? Did Antonelli have to wrestle the car, or did it seem to give him exactly what he needed? Because the stopwatch tells you who was fastest. But the shape of the lap tells you why. And why is the question that keeps rival teams awake. If Mercedes found performance only through perfect conditions, then the threat may disappear as quickly as it appeared. A cool track, clean air, a perfect preparation lap, all of that can create one sharp moment. But if Mercedes found performance through understanding, that is different. Understanding travels. Understanding can be developed. Understanding can turn one pole position into a pattern. Think of it like a locked door. If someone gets through once by luck, maybe the door was already open. Maybe the timing was perfect. Maybe nothing has really changed. But if they found the key, everyone else has a problem. Because now they can come back. Again. And again. That is what rival teams would fear most after Antonelli's pole. Not the headline. The possibility that Mercedes found a key. For months, Mercedes have carried a question around them. Can they make the car work consistently? Can they stop chasing answers from race to race? Can they turn flashes of speed into something stable enough to build a real challenge? That question has followed them everywhere. A good session has not always meant a good weekend. A strong lap has not always meant race control. The car has sometimes looked promising, then difficult, then promising again, like a machine that only opens its full performance under very specific conditions. That is a painful place for a team to live, because it means every improvement comes with doubt. Did we fix the problem, or did the track hide it? Did the driver find something, or did the tires simply behave for one run? Are we moving forward, or just circling the same answer in a different shape? Silverstone may have given Mercedes a different kind of signal. Not final proof. Not a guarantee. But a signal that the car might be giving its driver trust at the exact moment trust matters most. And with Antonelli, that matters even more. A veteran can sometimes disguise a difficult car. He can lean on experience. He can predict problems before they fully appear. He can lose a little confidence and still keep the lap alive because he has seen that feeling before. A young driver does not have the same armor. If the car is unstable, the hesitation appears. If the rear is unpredictable, the steering becomes careful. If the tires are not ready, the lap starts to look forced. But Antonelli taking pole at Silverstone suggests something important. Either he delivered a lap of extraordinary courage, or Mercedes gave him a car that allowed that courage to become lap time. Maybe it was both. And that is the version rival teams least want to face. Because a fast young driver is one problem. A fast young driver inside a car that is becoming easier to trust is a much bigger one. That combination can grow. It can survive mistakes. It can learn quickly. It can turn pressure into confidence. And if the team around him understands why the performance appeared, then Silverstone becomes more than a surprise. It becomes the first chapter of something rivals have to respect. This is why the word illegal becomes so tempting in stories like this. When a powerful team suddenly looks sharper, fans want a simple answer. They want the secret part. The hidden trick. The smoking gun that explains why everything changed. But Formula One's most threatening discoveries are not always illegal. Sometimes the most dangerous advantage is completely within the rules. A better way to prepare the tires. A better balance between the front and rear of the car. A setup that gives confidence through fast corners. A cleaner understanding of how to stop the car sliding just enough to keep the lap alive. From outside, that can look mysterious. From inside, it can be the result of months of painful work. And yet, to rivals, the effect is almost the same at first. They still have to react. They still have to investigate. They still have to ask whether Mercedes have stepped into an area they missed. That is why the Silverstone pole created such a sharp edge. It did not prove Mercedes had done something illegal. But it did prove something had changed in the conversation. Before, the question around Mercedes was often about inconsistency. Could they repeat performance? Could they trust the car? Could they turn potential into results? After Antonelli's pole, the question became more uncomfortable. What if Mercedes are starting to understand their car at the exact moment their young driver is starting to believe in it? That is not a small shift. That is the beginning of pressure. And in Formula One, pressure moves faster than any car. It moves through garages. It moves through strategy rooms. It moves through driver briefings. It changes how rivals prepare for qualifying. It changes how they think about the race. It changes how much attention they give to a team they thought they already understood. One Mercedes pole does not rewrite the championship, but it can rewrite the mood. And once the mood changes, every following session becomes part of the same mystery. If Mercedes are fast again, people will connect it to Silverstone. If Antonelli looks confident again, they will ask whether the car is giving him something special. If rivals struggle to explain the pace, the suspicion grows. That is how a single lap becomes bigger than itself. Not because it answers every question. Because it opens too many. And the biggest question is still sitting there, unresolved. Was Antonelli's pole just the perfect storm of talent, timing, and track conditions? Or did Formula One just see the first visible sign that Mercedes have found a performance path the rest of the grid has not fully understood yet? But then comes the part that makes this story feel even more explosive. Because rival drivers do not need an official investigation to start noticing patterns. They are trained to feel differences before anyone else can explain them. A driver can follow another car for only a few corners and sense something unusual. Not through magic. Through instinct, experience, and thousands of laps spent reading the tiny movements of another machine. They see when a car rotates too cleanly. They see when it exits a corner with less sliding. They see when it stays calm over bumps. They see when the driver inside it is not correcting, fighting, or hesitating. And at Silverstone, those details become impossible to ignore. Because the track is too fast, too open, and too honest. A car that is nervous cannot pretend to be stable for long. A driver who does not trust the rear cannot fake full commitment through the fastest sections. The tires cannot hide stress forever. So if Antonelli's Mercedes looked composed, the paddock would not simply call it a good lap. They would start building a case in their minds. Not a legal case. A performance case. Where did the time come from? Why did the car look more connected? Why did the rookie seem able to attack without carrying the usual signs of doubt? Why did Mercedes suddenly appear less fragile at a circuit that normally exposes fragility? And this is where the word evidence becomes complicated. Because in Formula One, there are two kinds of evidence. There is official evidence. Parts measured by the governing body. Technical checks. Documents. Protests. Rulings. Clear facts that can prove a car is legal or illegal. And then there is competitive evidence. The kind teams collect through observation. Sector behavior. Tire patterns. Driver feedback. Onboard comparisons. Small clues that do not prove a rule breach, but do prove that something important might be happening. That second kind of evidence is what creates fear. Because a team does not need to prove a rival is illegal before it starts reacting to them. It only needs to believe the rival has found performance. That belief changes everything. Engineers go back through the data. Drivers replay the lap in their heads. Strategists ask whether Mercedes now need to be treated as a front-row threat. Development teams wonder if they have missed an idea. And suddenly, one pole position becomes a pressure point for the entire grid. But here is the line that matters. The source material does not confirm that Mercedes used an illegal trick. It does not confirm that drivers uncovered official proof of cheating. So the story cannot honestly be, Mercedes were caught. The honest story is more tense than that. Mercedes may have produced a performance that made rivals suspicious because it looked meaningful, not random. And that difference is everything. A random lap fades. A meaningful lap gets studied. This is why teams would look beyond the headline and focus on the behavior of the car. If Antonelli gained time only in one isolated part of the lap, maybe it was timing. Maybe it was track evolution. Maybe it was one brilliant corner. But if the car looked strong across the kind of areas that reveal balance, tire confidence, and driver trust, then the question becomes much bigger. Because balance is not a party trick. Balance is the foundation of a racing car. When the front and rear of the car work together, the driver can place it exactly where he wants. When they do not, the lap becomes a negotiation. The driver asks for grip. The car gives some, takes some away, then forces him to compromise. At Silverstone, compromise is expensive. Every small lift through a fast corner costs time. Every correction hurts momentum. Every slide puts heat into the tires. And every bit of doubt travels into the next section of track. That is why a stable Mercedes at Silverstone would matter so much. It would suggest the team has not merely found speed. It may have found trust. And trust is the invisible currency of Formula One. You cannot see it on a timing screen. You cannot hold it in your hand. But you can see its effect. A driver turns in earlier. Carries more speed. Gets back on the throttle with conviction. Leaves the corner without fighting the rear of the car. For Antonelli, that trust would be priceless. Because he is not carrying years and years of Formula One scars. He is still building his emotional map of what the car will allow. Every lap teaches him what is possible, what is dangerous, what he can attack, and what he must respect.